She had stopped going into the attic years ago. It was too full of dust and memories. Boxes stacked like tombstones of a life once vibrant. Photographs, old clothes, things that still smelled faintly like him. The love of her life, gone for almost 5 years now. Every day since his funeral, Margaret had followed the same routine. Wake up, feed the cat, water the plants, sit by the window and watch the world move on without her. Neighbors came and went, children grew taller, seasons passed. But for her, time had frozen the moment the casket closed. The house was quiet, too quiet. Sometimes she'd catch herself whispering his name into the silence, hoping maybe, just maybe, the walls would whisper back. That afternoon, the loneliness felt heavier than usual. She decided to do something she hadn't done in years, clean the attic. Not because it needed it, but because maybe she needed it. She climbed the narrow steps, each creak echoing like a heartbeat. The air was thick with dust, sunlight slicing through tiny windows like golden ribbons. She coughed, grabbed an old duster and began sorting through boxes. Old holiday decorations. Wedding photos yellowed by time. A pair of his work boots, still muddy from their last garden project. And then she saw it. A small wooden box tucked behind a suitcase. She didn't remember seeing it before. On the lid, written in her husband's familiar handwriting, were 3 simple words. For Margaret. Someday. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside lay a folded letter tied with a blue ribbon, the same shade he used to wear on his favorite tie. She sat on the floor, her heart pounding. The room seemed to fade away as she slowly unfolded the paper. The letter began with the words, "My dearest Maggie, if you're reading this, I'm probably already gone. But I want you to know, this isn't the end." Tears blurred her vision. She hadn't heard his voice in years, yet somehow she could hear him now in every word. "You've always been the heart of our little world. You gave love to everyone, neighbors, friends, even strangers at the store. But I know how easily the world forgets people who give so much. So I'm asking you this, don't stop giving. Share that kindness again. Let our love ripple out into others. Because love doesn't die, Maggie, it multiplies." The letter ended with a simple line. "Start something beautiful. For us." She pressed the letter to her chest and sobbed. Not the quiet tears of grief she'd shed before, but something deeper. A release. A call to life. That night she couldn't sleep. His words replayed over and over, "Start something beautiful." What could she possibly do? She was just an old widow in a quiet town. But maybe, that was enough. The next morning she pinned the letter on her fridge. Then she wrote another letter, her own, and dropped it into her neighbor's mailbox. "Hi, I'm Margaret from next door. I'm starting something called the Kindness Circle. Every week we'll do one small thing to make someone smile. Want to join me?" She didn't expect anyone to respond. But the next day 2 neighbors showed up at her door, with cookies and warm smiles. A week later 5 more joined. By the end of the month there were 20. The Kindness Circle met every Sunday in Margaret's backyard. They wrote thank you notes to local nurses. They baked bread for families in need. They cleaned the park benches and left wildflowers around town with little notes that read, "You are loved." The local newspaper caught wind of it. Soon, people from neighboring towns were joining in, sending donations, volunteering, spreading kindness in their own communities. The quiet widow who once lived in solitude had unintentionally sparked a movement. And through it all, she kept her husband's letter framed above her desk. Whenever someone asked her why she started it, she would simply smile and say, "It wasn't me. It was us." One day, a child from the neighborhood brought her a handmade card. Inside was a drawing of a heart surrounded by smaller hearts. The child had written, "Because of you, our town feels like home." Margaret placed that card next to her husband's letter. For the first time in years, the house no longer felt empty. The echoes of silence were replaced by laughter, music, and the soft hum of life. Her love hadn't died. It had changed form. It had spread into kitchens, gardens, schools, and hearts. And though her husband was gone, his words had lived on, carried by every act of kindness, every shared smile, every stranger helped. Love had become something greater than grief. It had become legacy. So the next time you feel forgotten, the next time you think your small kindness doesn't matter, remember Margaret's story. Because love never leaves us. It just finds new hands to hold. Tell us in the comments, what's one act of kindness that changed your life? If this story touched your heart, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that remind us how powerful compassion can be. Together, let's keep spreading light, one story at a time.